This is an MJA Inc. Investigations warning. This MJA podcast is rated E for explicit. Some details of a case and language used on this podcast might be upsetting to some of our listeners. Listeners' discretion is advised. And for those who are still with us, kick back and enjoy the show. Welcome to our MJA podcast, the series, Children Who Never Made It Home. Episode 7, Part 10, Missing Children and Child Unsolved Homicides. The NCIC reports that over 600,000 people go missing each year. There are many adults and children who are found quickly, alive and well, but several thousands of them remain missing. It's a family's worst nightmare when a loved one goes missing, but it's a fact that when it's a child, the stakes are higher. The Murder Accountability Project claims that from 1965 to 2019, there are over 270,000 unsolved homicides in the United States. Many of those cases are children. As a nation, we have failed to protect our children with crimes against children that are on the rise. But in many cases, it's the fault of the lawmakers, where judges have no choice but to hand down flimsy sentences to child predators. But you do have judges where they grant a convicted child killer an appeal bond, who decides to run and kill along the way. If you follow the trends of crime, you will know that there are several repeat offenders because the sentences allow them to become a revolving door to harm our children again. This must stop. As a nation, we need to pass harsher sentences for these child predators. Some of these cases won't have a lot of info about the case, but these are the types of cases that needs to be profiled and never forgotten. Please join us as we step back into time. Good evening. My name is Mark, and I will be your host for tonight's show. Joining me later will be our co-host, Olivia. We are coming to you from Hudson, Florida, located on the Gulf of Mexico. Case 1. It was on April 7, 1979 is when 10-year-old Randy Doyle Parscale Jr., a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Oracle, Arizona. Case 2. It was on February 10th, 1989 is when 5-year-old Mja Nicole Gunnell, a black female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Yuma, Arizona. Case 3. It was on November 24th, 1979 is when 15-year-old Jeffrey Brian Sayer, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Westminster, California. Case 4. It was on March 16th, 2012 is when 15-year-old Sierra Mae Lamar, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Morgan Hill, California. Case 5. It was on July 27, 1973 is when 13-year-old Landon Lee DeRiggi, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Miami Shores, Florida. Case 6. It was on February 29, 1972, leap years, when 13-year-old Deborah Sue Lowe, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Pompano Beach, Florida. Case 7. It was on December 9, 1961 is when 11-year-old Scott Andreas Douglas Sims, also known as Andy, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Wichita Falls, Texas. Case 8. It was on March 7, 1987 is when 12-year-old Melissa Alanez, a Hispanic female, went missing and vanished without a trace from El Paso, Texas. Case 9. It was on April 30th, 1983 is when 13-year-old Patrick R. Kress disappeared and vanished without a trace from Kirkland, Washington. On May 18th, 1983, the lifeless body of 13-year-old Patrick Kress was discovered and he had been murdered. Case 10. On January 7th, 1998 is when 5-year-old Brittany Lynn Locklear went missing and vanished without a trace after being abducted from Rayford, North Carolina. On January 8th, 1998, searchers discovered the lifeless body of the 5-year-old Brittany Locklear, who had been murdered. Case 11. It was on January 12, 1984, is when 7-year-old Gary Lee Grant Jr. disappeared without a trace from Atlantic City, New Jersey. On January 14, 1984, the lifeless body of 7-year-old Gary Grant was discovered and he had been murdered. Case 12. It was on December 16, 1989, is when 7-year-old Leticia Hernandez went missing and vanished without a trace from Oceanside, California. On March 9, 1991, the skull of Leticia Hernandez was discovered, ruling the death as a homicide. Let's take a pause for the cause, and when we return, Olivia will be on the line, and we will profile missing person cases of children who never made it home and child unsolved homicides. Be back in a moment. Welcome to our MJA podcast, this series, Children Who Never Made It Home, Episode 7, Part 10, Missing Children and Child Unsolved Homicides. We have Olivia on the line. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well.
Are you ready to dig into these unsolved mysteries?
Yes.
Welcome to the state of Arizona. The DOE Network has 90 males and 66 females listed as being missing from the state of Arizona. Case 1. Welcome to Oracle, Arizona. Missing male. It was on April 7, 1979 is when 10-year-old Randy Doyle Parscale Jr., a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Oracle, Arizona. The 10-year-old Parscale was last seen at a picnic and a rock hunting excursion with his family members in Pepper Sauce Canyon, located in Santa Catalina Mountains in Arizona. While Parscale's grandfather rested in the shade that afternoon, the 10-year-old Parscale, with his stepbrother and his uncle, ventured up a trail. The 10-year-old Parscale ran ahead at one point up a hill and around a bend. Then he vanished without a trace. For almost a week, hundreds of searchers from law enforcement, search and rescue groups on foot, on horseback, a helicopter, using search dogs, they scoured the rough terrain on the north side of the Catalina Mountains. A tracker who worked on the search followed the 10-year-old Parscale's footprints to a dirt road where it appeared he got into a vehicle. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 10-year-old Randy Parscale, please call the Pinal County Sheriff's Office, Cold Case Investigator Larry Carpenter at 520-866-5149 or 520-866-5111.
Case 2. Welcome to Yuma, Arizona. Missing female. It was on February 10th, 1989, when 5-year-old Mja Nicole Gunnell, a black female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Yuma, Arizona. It was on that day that the 5-year-old Gunnell was last seen at her apartment where she lived with her mother, Valerie, and her 9-month-old sister, Lucretia, and her mother's boyfriend, Alvy Kyles.
Yes.
In January 1989 is when Alvy Kyles moved in with the family. This was just 4 months after Kyles was released from prison. Kyles had a long-standing abuse problem with alcohol, cocaine, and heroin. As per the requirements of his parole, Kyles attended counseling, and his parole officer thought his conduct was satisfactory. However, Kyles continued to use drugs. On February 10, 1989, several witnesses saw Kyles driving Valerie's car. That afternoon, Kyles told a neighbor he had killed Valerie and her daughters. Kyles took his neighbor to Valerie's apartment and showed her the body. Mja and Lucretia were missing from the scene. Kyles said he'd put the little girls' bodies in the Colorado River. On February 11, 1989, the police went to the Gunnell residence and found Valerie Gunnell's body wrapped in a blanket in the hallway. The mother, Valerie Gunnell, of the two young girls, had been beaten to death. There were indications of a struggle in Valerie Gunnell's bedroom and blood all over the home, including two large pools of blood in the child's bedroom. A week after the murders, 9-month-old Lucretia's body was found in an irrigation canal in Mexico. The small child had been beaten to death. 5-year-old Mja Gunnell's remains were never located, but her blood was found on a mattress in her family's apartment. Kyles was convicted of murdering all 3 members of the Gunnell family and was sentenced to death. Kyles' conviction was later overturned on the grounds that he had inadequate defense, but in 2000, at a second trial, he was convicted again of 3 counts of murder and 2 counts of child abuse. He was ultimately sentenced to death for Valerie's murder and life in prison for Mja's and Lucretia's murders. Kyles was awaiting execution. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 5-year-old Mja Gunnell, please call Yuma Police Department, Detective James Frazier, at 928-373-4700.
Welcome to the state of California. The Doe Network has 733 males and 536 females listed as being missing from the state of California. Case 3. Welcome to Westminster, California. Missing male. It was on November 24, 1979, is when 15-year-old Jeffrey Brian Sayer, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Westminster, California. It was on that date in the evening hours is when the 15-year-old Sayer was last seen at Westminster bowling lanes on that date with his girlfriend. The 15-year-old Sayer had intended to hitchhike home to Santa Ana because the buses had stopped operating for the night. The disappearance of the 15-year-old Jeffrey Sayer has been linked to serial killer Randy Kraft. Kraft had kept a list of men he had killed dating back to late 1971. One entry is listed as 38 Westminster date and is believed to be in reference to the 15-year-old Jeffrey Sayer. The bus stop Jeffrey was last seen at was near the home of Kraft's parents. Serial killer Randy Kraft has not been charged in Jeffrey Sayer's disappearance. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Westminster Police Department at 714-898-3311.
Case 4. Welcome to Morgan Hill, California. Missing female. It was on March 16, 2012, when 15-year-old Sierra Mae Lamar, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Morgan Hill, California. It was on that day, in the early morning hours, 15-year-old Sierra Lamar was last seen by her mother as the 15-year-old was getting ready for school. At around 7:11 a.m., classmates stated she texted the 15-year-old Lamar to meet before class started to discuss homework. But the 15-year-old Sierra Lamar didn't text back, and at 7:35, Lamar did not board the school bus she takes every day. Needless to say, the 15-year-old Lamar never arrived at school. The mother of 15-year-old Lamar found out her daughter was missing that evening when the school contacted her to say that her 15-year-old daughter had missed class. The mother contacted police and reported her 15-year-old daughter, Sierra May Lamar, as missing. On March 17, 2012, police located Lamar's cell phone off the side of the road. On March 18, 2012, investigators found Sierra Lamar's purse and school books near a street intersection. Found inside the purse was a neatly folded, complete change of clothes, along with her asthma inhaler, house key, and money. 15-year-old Lamar's purse and cell phone were found in the opposite direction from the bus stop. Scent dogs were brought to Sierra Lamar's home, and they lost the scent just 150 yards from her house. In May of 2012, Antolin Garcia Torres was arrested for the disappearance of 15-year-old Sierra Lamar. DNA taken from the clothes found in her purse linked to Garcia Torres. It's believed Garcia Torres, driving a route he usually took on his way to work, saw the 15-year-old Lamar and snatched her off the street and killed her. It seems to be a random act, for there is no evidence the two ever met prior to her disappearance. Sierra Lamar's DNA was found in Garcia Torres' car. A strand of Lamar's hair on some rope was found in the trunk of the car. The overwhelming evidence from the vehicle left no question. It placed the 15-year-old Lamar in Garcia Torres' vehicle. Then the DNA found on Lamar's clothes and purse belonging to Garcia Torres left no question that Garcia Torres had possession of the purse at one time. In May 2017, Garcia Torres was convicted of kidnapping and murdering 15-year-old Sierra Lamar. Killer sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. After that conviction, later on in 2017, Garcia Torres was also convicted of 3 counts of attempted kidnapping. When Garcia Torres had tried to abduct 3 other women from Safeway store parking lots in 2009, something the prosecution called training session for the upcoming kidnapping and murder of the 15-year-old Sierra Lamar. Sierra Lamar's remains have yet to be found. If you have any info concerning this case, please call Santa Clara County Sheriff at 408-808-4400.
Welcome to the state of Florida. The Doe Network has 280 males and 341 females listed as being missing from the state of Florida. Case 5. Welcome to Miami Shores, Florida. Missing male. It was on July 27, 1973, is when 13-year-old Landon Lee DeRiggi, a white male, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Miami Shores, Florida. The 13-year-old DeRiggi was last seen by his mother when her 13-year-old son asked to go play at the Barry University field, which was down the street from the DeRiggi's home. After DeRiggi turned 13, who had a very high IQ, was starting to be bullied at school from other students, and other students noticed that the 13-year-old DeRiggi was a little different. The 13-year-old DeRiggi had started running away for brief spells. Once the 13-year-old was found in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Another time, his mother found her 13-year-old son at the Barry Field alone. The family spent a couple of days camping in the Florida Everglades. On July 26, 1973, the family returned home late with the plan on driving to Disney World the next day. On July 27, 1973, is when 13-year-old DeRiggi did not return to his mother and his mother did not call the police right away, as her 13-year-old son usually returned quickly. A day or two had passed before the mother dialed the Miami Shores police to report her 13-year-old son as missing. Police officers found some of the 13-year-old DeRiggi's belongings in hedges of a nearby house. People speculated that DeRiggi was meeting somebody. Investigators interviewed neighborhood friends, and they turned up nothing. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 13-year-old Landon Lee DeRiggi, please call the Miami Shores Police Department Detective Carrie Turner at 305-759-2468.
Case 6. Welcome to Pompano
Yes.
Beach, Florida. Missing female. It was on February 29th, 1972, leap year, when 13-year-old Deborah Sue Lowe, a white female, went missing and vanished without a trace from Pompano Beach, Florida. February 28, 1972, between 7:30 to 8:30 a.m., a 13-year-old Lowe was last seen walking to school. Lowe's school books were later found in a trash can 1 block from the Lowe family house. The Lowe family believes the 13-year-old Deborah Sue Lowe was abducted and killed by serial killer Gerald Schaefer. Schaefer worked for the 13-year-old Lowe's father and was at the family home both before and after the 13-year-old disappeared. At one time, Gerald Schaefer was Martin County Police Deputy. Schaefer had been linked to the deaths of 20 or more girls and young women between 1969 and 1972. This includes at least 2 other girls from Pompano Beach, Florida. Gerald Schaefer was murdered by a fellow inmate at Florida State Prison in 1995. If you have any info concerning the disappearance of 13-year-old Deborah Sue Lowe, please call the Broward County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Sheriff Christopher Blankenship, at 954-493-8477.
Let's take a pause for the cause, and when Olivia and I return, we will profile 2 more missing person cases of children and 4 child unsolved homicides. You're listening to the series, Children Who Never Made It Home. Be back in a moment. Welcome back to our MJA podcast, this series, Children Who Never Made It Home, Episode 7, Part 10, Missing Children and Child Unsolved Homicides. Welcome to the state of Texas. The DOE Network has 207 males and 236 females listed as being missing from the state of Texas. Case 7. Welcome to Wichita Falls, Texas. Missing male. It was on December 9th, 1961 is when 11-year-old Scott Andreas Douglas Sims, also known as Andy, disappeared and vanished without a trace from Wichita Falls, Texas. On that day in the morning hours, 11-year-old Sims was last seen at home by his brother, Donald, who was a year older. That morning, while their mother, Ellen, who was a nurse, was working, the boy's stepfather was in the National Guard, and he had been called to go to Fort Polk, Louisiana. The 11-year-old Andy Sims was home between 12 and 12:30 p.m. when his mother called the house to talk to Donald. The 12-year-old Donald Sims reported his 11-year-old brother left the house between 12:45 and 1 p.m. to go out and play. Ellen Sims returned home about 2:30 p.m. and 11-year-old Andy Sims could not be found. Family members of the 11-year-old Sims were the first to search for him. The mother, Ellen, sent the 12-year-old Donald out to look for his 11-year-old brother, Andy, and other family members joined in the unsuccessful search. The family called police about 8 p.m. and later again to report the 11-year-old Andy Sims as missing. Fort Sill, Civil Defense, Marine Reserves, and members of the Sheriff's Mounted Patrol and others worked with volunteers to comb the area, searching for Andy's usual hangouts and places it seemed a child might have gone to escape the cold. One witness reported seeing someone who matched Andy Sims' description at the Boy Scout hut near Lake Wichita about 3 p.m. This was just a few hours after the 11-year-old Andy Sims left the house. Lake Wichita was searched several times and dragged. No trace of the 11-year-old Andy Sims was found despite searches by land and by air. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the Wichita Falls Police Department, Detective Tony Fox, at 940-761-7767.
Case 8. Welcome to El Paso, Texas. Missing female. It was on March 7th, 1987, when 12-year-old Melissa Alanas, a Hispanic female, went missing and vanished without a trace from El Paso, Texas. Family members told police they last seen the 12-year-old Alanas when she left her home to walk to a nearby Circle K convenience store to play video games. The disappearance of 12-year-old Melissa Alanas may be linked to the disappearances of several other young females from El Paso that year. Most of the missing females were later found murdered and buried in the desert. The 12-year-old Alanas knew at least one of them, a classmate, and Alanas' parents worked with the parents of another victim. All of these victims had friends in common with each other, and they all lived in the same neighborhood. Police have identified a suspect in the case, David Leonard Wood, an ex-convict with a history of violence against females who was paroled in January 1987, just a few days before the beginning of this string of murders and disappearances. David Wood has been convicted of murdering 6 of the El Paso victims, making him a serial killer who maintains his innocence to this day. David Wood was sentenced to death in 1993, but his sentence went under appeal, and his sentence was, I don't know what that word is.
Commuted
To life without parole.
I might have misspelled that.
Yeah. Serial killer David Wood has not been charged in connection with 12-year-old Alanas' disappearance, and it's unclear whether he was involved. If you have any info concerning this case, please call the El Paso Police Department, Detective Michael Amon at 915-832-4445.
We live in a true sadistic world where innocent children are preyed upon, abducted, raped, assaulted, and murdered. These crimes against our children become even scarier when they go unsolved. Police spend decades trying to bring closure to families, and parents die without ever knowing who was responsible for killing their child. These next 4 cases will profile unsolved homicides of children. Garland, Texas detective Gary Sweet once said, "There is no greater honor to be assigned to an unsolved homicide of a child." The Murder Accountability Project claims that from 1965 to 2019, there are over 270,000 unsolved homicides in the United States. Welcome to the state of Washington. The Murder Accountability Project claims that from 1980 to 2019, there are 2,937 unsolved homicides in the state of Washington. Case 9. Welcome to Kirkland, Washington. Unsolved homicide. It was on April 30th, 1983 is when 13-year-old Patrick R. Kress disappeared and vanished without a trace from Kirkland, Washington. On that date, the 13-year-old Kress was reported missing when he failed to meet his parents at the Safeway grocery store to get picked up from a friend's sleepover in Kirkland, Washington. On April 30th, 1983, a witness who was at the sleepover later told police that he saw 13-year-old Patrick Kress get into a gray 1970s vehicle that could have been an unmarked police car. The 13-year-old Kress was never seen or heard from again. On May 18, 1983, the body of 13-year-old Patrick Kress was found partially submerged in a water-filled ditch by an electrical worker on a construction site. The cause of death of the 13-year-old Patrick Kress was multiple blows to the head. Anyone with info on the murder of 13-year-old Patrick R. Kress, please call the King County Sheriff's Office at 206-296-3311.
Oh, are we on 10? Case 10?
Yes. Yeah.
The Murder Accountability Project claims that from 1980 to 2019, there are 5,255 unsolved homicides in the state of North Carolina. Case 10. Welcome to Rayford, North Carolina. Unsolved homicide. On January 7th, 1999, is when 5-year-old Brittany Lynn Locklear went missing and vanished without a trace after being abducted from Rayford, North Carolina. On that day, just after 7 a.m., a neighbor witnessed an unidentified white male in a full-size brown pickup truck grab the 5-year-old Brittany Locklear and force her into the vehicle before speeding away. The 5-year-old Locklear was never seen alive again. Just hours after the kidnapping, the 5-year-old Locklear's purple backpack was discovered, and her overalls and sneakers also turned up later. The items were discovered on a road 2 miles away from where the 5-year-old Locklear disappeared from. On January 8th, 1998, searchers discovered the body of 5-year-old Brittany Locklear in a drainage ditch 3 miles away from her bus stop. She had been sexually assaulted and then drowned in the water in the drainage pipe. The murder of 5-year-old Brittany Locklear remains unsolved, and her abductor remains unidentified. Anyone with info on the kidnapping and brutal murder of 5-year-old Brittany Lynn Locklear, please call North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation at 1-800-334-3000.
The Murder Accountability Project claims from 1980 to 2019 there are 6,546 unsolved homicides in the state of New Jersey. Case 11. Welcome to Atlantic City, New Jersey. Unsolved homicide. It was on January 12, 1984, when 7-year-old Gary Lee Grant Jr. disappeared without a trace from Atlantic City, New Jersey. The 7-year-old Grant reportedly had no school that day due to a teachers' conference. That morning, the 17-year-old Grant told his mother that he had an appointment at 2:30 p.m. that day and would be back home around 4 p.m. The nature of this appointment is unknown, but the 7-year-old Gary Grant Jr. never made it home, and he was never seen alive again. The 7-year-old Grant was reported missing to police when his parents were not able to find him. On January 14, 1984, the lifeless body of 7-year-old Gary Grant Jr. was discovered in a weed-infested vacant lot 2 blocks away from his home. The 7-year-old Grant had been beaten to death and was wrapped in a gold-colored rug. A small pipe found nearby is believed to have been used to kill the 7-year-old. A suspect initially confessed to his murder and was charged, but the case was later dismissed when the confession could not be confirmed. The murder of 7-year-old Gary Grant Jr. remains unsolved. Anyone with info on the murder of Gary Lee Grant Jr., please call the Atlantic City Police Department at 609-347-5779.
The Murder Accountability Project claims that from 1980 to 2019, there were over 48,000 unsolved homicides in the state of California. Case 12. Welcome to Oceanside, California. Unsolved homicide. It was on December 16th, 1989, when 7-year-old Leticia Hernandez went missing and vanished without a trace from Oceanside, California. On that day, around 5 p.m., the 7-year-old Hernandez was last seen by her mother as her daughter was playing in the front yard of her Oceanside apartment complex. Mother was doing laundry in the laundry room, going back and forth to keep an eye on her 7-year-old daughter in the front yard. When the mother returned 10 minutes later, her 7-year-old daughter, Leticia Hernandez, was gone and nowhere to be found. Following the 7-year-old Hernandez's disappearance, there were multiple reported sightings of the child. However, the sightings led nowhere. On March 9th, 1991, skull of Leticia Hernandez, the red shorts she was wearing were located off of County Highway. Is it S16 or 516?
No, S16.
S16. This was 23 miles away from where the 7-year-old Hernandez disappeared. The cause of death couldn't be determined, but due to the circumstances, the case is ruled an abduction and murder. Anyone with info on the kidnapping and murder of 7-year-old Leticia Hernandez, please call the Oceanside Police Department at 760-435-4900.
Okay, Olivia, is there anything you would like to add to any of these cases?
Yeah, I hate these things with kids, They're kids. Leave them alone. But I kind of feel that, sometimes I think it's not random. I think these children are being watched, like they say, always keep your eyes on your children. Don't turn your back on them because you never know, even in a store when you go shopping. And also, I want to bring something up, too. I never knew serial killers go after children. I always thought they go after adults.
No, like say...
Gacy. Didn't he go after kids?
Who?
Gacy.
Oh, yeah. They were mostly young boys and like teens. I think one was maybe in his 20s, but not very many. And then you have...
little children? I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, you have David Penton, who we know killed at least 35 children, including his own. His own child was 2 months old, and when he was on the run, his youngest victim that we could trace was 18 months old, and there was 2 of those that was 18 months old. And so, yeah, and
you know what the sad thing is? A lot of these murderers, like serial killers, they have normal lives like you and I. I mean, we could be working with them, and we don't even know it. They just compartmentalize that portion of their brain when they go home.
Yeah, well, like say, Penton was in the service and all that, but...
A lot of them were in the service, yeah.
But we think the trigger was when he was stationed in Korea from 81 to, I believe it was 83, and we believe that's where a lot of it was triggered, because over there you could buy a 5-year-old off a barroom stool. That's the way it was back then. As a matter of fact, when we called Korea to see if there was any children unsolved cases in Korea when he was there, we were told they didn't keep records of things like that because they were sex workers. And this was in South Korea, Seoul, South Korea.
That's
yeah,
sick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
most of them, they just blend into society. A lot of them. Look at BTK. He was all involved in his church. He worked for the town.
Yeah.
Look what he was doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But on the BTK killer, there were some signs of his aggression that people just didn't pay attention to. That was one of the things.
But you got to watch the show if you haven't. His daughter has one. I think it's on Netflix. My father with BTK or something like that.
Yeah, I heard about it, but yeah, I haven't watched it.
Because she was saying that. I'm pretty sure, and don't quote me on this, but that he came in her room and she was sleeping. I don't know what happened there, but if it was just her thinking he did or he did, I don't know. But
yeah,
I mean, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
that. But I think it touches everybody when it's involved with kids.
Oh yeah, it goes real deep when it's children, and a lot of that's because the lawmakers they need to make harsher penalties for these child predators, and so that's what I mean. It's a revolving door. Like I known of a child molester when I read about him front page news when I was 10 years old. Okay, at 37 years old, I had to go to the county to get a copy of my birth certificate. Well, he was just coming out of the courtroom then. He had gotten away with it and given probation. The most time he ever spent was 18 months in the county jail. They never did send him to prison. And he, like I said, he was like a revolving door. And like I said, I seen that with my own eyes. I read it with my own eyes, and that's what I'm saying. It's just crazy. And okay, just like on Penton, he was convicted of killing his child. Well, his lawyer knew the trial wasn't going well, so he automatically filed an appeal. Well, this judge gives him an appeal bond, and that's when he takes off and goes cross country and starts killing. And a lot of people call me a dog for this, but that judge, every week he got an email from me telling him these other 35 victims was blood on his hands. And I done that. I sent him that email every week until the day he died. And I mean, people could get on me about it. I don't care. He did not have to grant him an appeal bond. He killed his own child, for Christ's sake. And you let him out on an appeal bond? That's just asking for crazy, asking for trouble.
Yeah. Well, what about John List? He killed his whole family, including his mother.
Yeah, that's like I said.
He got away with it for how many years?
Oh, a lot. Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
He was smart, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I want to thank Olivia for being on the show tonight. I would also like to thank our viewers and listeners for tuning in, for y'all have been so kind. I have a quote for you all. Life's under no obligation to give us what we expect. Margaret Mitchell. Always remember, folks, that if you ever get bored with nothing to do, well, take a walk deep into the woods. You might be surprised at what you might find. That's the end of our MJ podcast, this series, Children Who Never Made It Home. This was episode 7, part 10, Missing Children and Child Unsolved Homicides. And we say to all of you, good night from the shed located in Hudson, Florida on the Gulf of Mexico.
It starts with all I know. So unreal. Watch you go. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. It starts with far. But in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. But in the end, it doesn't even matter.